Maybe you're a bit like me. You saw the channel, how to do a mindset reset when you're over 40. And for me, it's actually over 50, but it really doesn't matter particularly. And who's this guy to be some kind of person coming on talking about that? That to me is kind of the challenge that I had. I have been really wanting to do something a little bit more with YouTube. I've had a channel I'm really happy with that I've worked on, done some other things, but I started making some changes, particularly back in December when the doctor said, hey, you're pre-diabetic. And that was kind of like a smack in the face for me that I need to do some things to change. And so I started making changes. I started exercising again, then started looking at my diet and approaching it from a totally different way. And it was also in a period that I made a change in a career after being a pastor for 30 years full time, determining with my wife that a change was needed. And as a widower, it was a period a couple years ago where I really began to struggle with this. So today I'm throwing out this new YouTube channel kind of thing, just wanting to talk a little bit about what that's like. And this is more of a vlog, blog, whatever you want to call it, and addressing some of those challenges that we have when you get over 40. And like I said, for me, over 50. And what does that look like? And I kind of hit in on some of the things, and I've got some notes here I just kind of wanted to kind of throw out there that when you get to that midlife point, some questions start to happen, as they always said that they would, and I always heard about that as a kid, midlife crisis and stuff. Well, for me, that was never it. My midlife crisis was one that I didn't even plan on, and that was losing my first wife. And that is something you never get over that. And as I told people when I met my wife currently, oh, you've opened a new chapter. No, I opened a new novel, because when you're midlife and you lose a spouse, that's like, we lived a lifetime together, and we raised kids together. And then I had to do it as an only parent on my own to try to do that. And I made a mess of stuff. And so for me, this really is a period in my life that I've got to do some mindset reset. And for me, that's combining things that I know with things that I'm still learning. So for me, it kind of starts with this idea of, first, you need a growth mindset. I know I did. And that was kind of hard to get started. It was really easy to get stagnant when my first wife died. And so getting that things moving again, I actually wrote my first book after she died called Life Sucks, Seek God, that is available on Amazon. And in that was kind of a processing for me of grief and struggle, my faith and grief, and what that time was like when I was in a group of others who were caregivers for their family members. I came up with a term that it was the valley of suck that we walked through. And some people got offended by that. Oh, that's terrible. Pastor saying suck. It sucks. It was like, that's not what it was at all. It was our partners, our people that we loved, they were going through the valley of the shadow of death. For me, it was the valley of suck. And what that meant was all of my dreams, all of our hopes, everything about our future just got sucked out of our lives. So for me, the last few years have been really a period of reestablishing the growth mindset, because I've always believed in growth. I've got a master's degree. I believe in education. I'm always listening to audiobooks, podcasts that help me. But one of the things that really has helped me in this time and on this journey is Hal Elrod's book, The Miracle Morning. And while I practice many of those habits, that book threw some that I didn't have. And one of those was learning about affirmations. And what those are those kind of things in our lives that really help us. And I started recording some in my journal, and I use this to constantly. This page is pretty much almost filled up. And I got a long ways to go. So in filling up my journal with my notes through the course of the day. But that really gives me something to go back to. And when I'm at a point that I need that encouragement, that growth mindset spurs me to get back into a podcast, get back into reading a book, being in a place where that happens. When I changed careers, I'm now in real estate with RMG Group, part of the Keller Williams Alaska Realty Group here. And it's a growth mindset. And for me, it's like it's engaging some things I hadn't had before. I'm like the oldest person in the office on this team. I've never been the oldest person in the office, but surrounding myself with other people that have a growth mindset has been a real challenge and has really pushed me to be better, to focus on those things. So nurturing that growth mindset, what is it that you need to be doing to nurture that growth mindset? What are the things that may have worked for you that you can kind of turn that? That for me, like education. My parents were educated. My mom was a public librarian. My dad was a faculty as a teacher. So that was always part of something that was nurtured. So what is it that might help you? And for me, it's always about education to help with that growth mindset. But it might be being exercising more. It may be going on walks and hiking. And that used to be something for me. Now things have kind of changed. So what is that growth mindset? Are you learning? Are you constantly in that mode? What is it? So let me encourage you to, as you make that reset, what is it that you need to do to help with that growth mindset? And affirmations for me are one of those great things. I think back to my Boy Scout motto, be prepared, and that's in there. Choose your hard has been a really important one. I love the phrase that I say, really, when days are hard, I love myself and I love my job. I think it was Zig Ziglar that gave me that one. So it's full of those little things that remind me, that affirm what I'm doing. So that's a key part of the journey. The second one I was thinking about is challenging the negative thoughts. And, as a parent, most of us probably, if you've been a parent, you've had kids that have had that struggle. And I was a youth pastor for many years and a scout leader. So I've worked with young people and with those negative thoughts that come into their mind. And you got to challenge those. But I've also found as a pastor, it's not just kids, it's us as adults. And it's me myself, because I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder a number of years ago, and if I don't take care of that, if I don't monitor that, what happens is it leads me into clinical depression, and that's really not a place I want to be. So I've got to challenge those negative thoughts. And how do I do that? Well, that one goes back to those affirmations. Visualization is also part of that. But it's also looking at making that list of what have I accomplished, particularly when we get to this point when we're over 40. What have we accomplished? We've accomplished a lot. We made it to 40. That is in and of itself a great thing. But to look back and say, what are the things that we've done, and to really take stock of what accomplishments we've had. Now, there's always going to be setbacks. And the question is, it's not about how many times the saying goes that you get knocked down. Is that do you get back up again? And that's really it. Look back and say, how many times did you get knocked down, and are you getting back up? Because I can tell you right now, I'm getting pretty used to being knocked down. I went for a lot of years where I really didn't, and it's been kind of a season of getting knocked down. So challenging those negative thoughts, and the way that we do that is by gratitude. I've got a reminder in my phone every day to take time to give gratitude at night before I go to bed. I'm not always great at that, but I don't beat myself up on that either. It's saying, hey, this is something that's here that can help me. So that's important. What are those things? What are those little reminders along the way? Because it can make a difference. Say, I need to stop and be thankful about something. There's a challenge, I think Mel Robbins that talked about it, and others have too, of the change that happens when you think every single day of 3 things that you're thankful for, that you are grateful for. And to really take that, those are ways that you can really challenge that negative mindset that comes along in your life. And so let me really encourage you to take time to think about, what are those things that you're thankful for? What are you grateful for? What have you accomplished when you think about your life? Now, the last one I want to throw out to you as far as you think about that mindset shift is tap into your soul. Tap into your soul. If you haven't taken time to think about what's in here, this is a great time to do it. At 40 and over 40, over 50, over 60, wherever it is, what's in here? Have you tapped into your soul? I love one of the challenges that I had was to be a kid and to think about all those things that we looked at as a kid. And the list that talks about was ignoring no, take a risk, stay active, stay curious, keep a high ambition. have a great attitude, and never lose imagination. Well, those are the things that help you tap into your soul when you get to being over 40. Uh, what is it? And have you tapped into your soul? I remember watching the big thing, the Marie Kondo and the Kondo method. And she would talk about picking up an article of clothing. It was all about organizing stuff. And she said, when you're making a decision to get rid of something, you pick up an article of clothing and say, does this bring me joy? Well, I think that's a huge part of the journey. Does it bring you joy? What are the things in your life that bring you joy? Think about it. What brings you joy? Tap into your soul. If we're going to do a mindset reset, we need to tap into what's here. What were your dreams? What were your hopes? What are they now? Listen to your own heart. Listen to yourself. Look at the things that have brought you joy throughout your life and that still have the potential to bring you joy into the future. So those are my 3 things to kind of throw out there. Today's kind of one of those days. It's a little cloudy and rainy out there, and it's a good reminder that this is kind of where I am at this period in my life. What's it like to need that mindset reset? We all do. Today, I hope these words help. If you get a moment and you found this helpful, take a moment, if you would, to like and subscribe and whack that bell so you can stay up on everything that's coming out as we look at getting healthy at 50.